Chapter 791 Ancient Netherworld Divine Tower had a wide range of cultivators, many cultivators that still couldn't move out to the city, and some people that were just hanging around. Most of the cultivators there were at the Spirit Core stage, while some of them were at Core Transformation stage or higher. But mostly, it was just the Spirit Core stage cultivator, as it seemed they were born in this city. The evil spirit race that Tianyun saw was at the 5th layer Core Transformation stage, and he was the most powerful cultivator in their group. Wow, this brat is certainly new around here. He just challenged a patrol envoy without any hesitation. One of the evil spirit race said mockingly, while the other snickered mockingly. Other cultivators were surprised by Tianyun's sudden challenge and shook their heads as they thought Tianyun must be crazy. Did you seriously just challenge me, kid? Inspector Zhao, the evil spirit race cultivator that Tianyun challenged, said with a mocking expression on his face. He stroked the 2-flame imprint on his arms to show that he was different from an average cultivator in the 1st layer city. This platform was the only place where killing people wasn't considered breaking the law of ancient Netherworld Divine Tower, so a brutal battle among the cultivators was the common way to solve their differences. That was one of the rules that ancient Netherworld Divine King enforced to the tower, as it was part of his own belief. Murder was such a cowardly move that he condemned it throughout his territory. I am sure, but are you brave enough to step up to the challenge? Tianyun said indifferently. Why would I? You didn't have the qualification to challenge me. Inspector Zhao said mockingly. He rejected Tianyun's challenge without any hesitation, even though everyone encouraged him to accept it. Some people understood that someone with a high status like Inspector Zhao wouldn't accept a challenge for a duel from some random guy, as he didn't gain anything from it. Wow, I don't know that inspectors are such a coward. How can a coward like you be chosen to be a patrol? It just doesn't make any sense, right? Tianyun said sarcastically. It was only a provocation, but Tianyun knew that Inspector Zhao would take the bait, as there was no way the evil spirit race would just sit idly after being humiliated like that. Careful now, boy, are you really sure you want to do this? Inspector Zhao said coldly. He, at first, didn't want to accept the challenge, as he wanted to preserve the cultivator as much as he could until they reached the peak of their power. That way, they would be able to reap the cultivator at their best, harvesting the best quality blood essence from them for evil spirit race to consume. Of course, I am sure, so what are you waiting for? I am waiting up here. Tianyun said tauntingly. Everyone shook their head as they thought that the young man was done for now. The inspector would surely kill him after taunting him impertinently like that. Tianyun knew what these cultivators were thinking, but he didn't care. He just wanted to kill the evil spirit race as soon as he could. In actuality, Tianyun didn't even care if the inspector refused his challenge, as he would kill him in the end nonetheless. Inspector Zhao looked at Tianyun coldly and jumped over to the platform. The field instantly lighted up and created a dim barrier, meaning that no one could escape the battle, and the only way to get out was to kill the opponent or force them to surrender. Congratulations, you have successfully made me mad. Zhao coldly said as he walked slowly toward the platform. 2 flames appeared in his hands, and as the flame's intensity increased, it turned into Netherworld's fire. The cultivators knew that the power that Inspector Zhao was using was the privilege of the patrol, and it had the absolute power to suppress people. This ability was the reason why people in the layered city hesitated to challenge any of them. Unless the young man in front of the inspector right now was some kind of genius, he wouldn't be able to win against the inspector. The inspector looked at Tianyun with the intention to attack, but he was suddenly gone. He tried to find Tianyun, but he couldn't find him on the platform. Suddenly, he felt something hit him, and he lost his consciousness. He didn't feel any pain at all, but it was clear that he wouldn't be waking up again in this world. People were startled by what happened as Inspector Zhao's head was cut off from his body with one attack. It was an insane scene, as no one ever expected an inspector to be killed so easily. The inspector's powerful fire didn't even play any part, as Inspector Zhao couldn't even react to the young man's attack. Tianyun sighed as he felt a little bit cruel challenging a core transformation cultivator while he himself was already Saint King stage expert. But to be fair, Tianyun did hold back considerably, but clearly, it didn't change anything. After killing Inspector Zhao, his flame imprint flew towards Tianyun, and thus added another flame imprint on Tianyun's arm. Tianyun was actually satisfied with the flame imprint system, as it was so easy to follow. He just have to defeat 5 more cultivators to upgrade his flame imprint to earn the qualification to enter 3rd layer city. And of course, this was the standard procedure way, not an alternative that might immediately take him to the top. Tianyun's provocation to challenge the evil spirit race to take their flame imprint was his own way to reach the top quickly. It was like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. This way, he could also cull out the evil spirit race inside the tower ahead of time. Chapter 792 Feet Ding. Successfully killed Inspector Zhao. Reward, 120.000 EXP, 5.000 CPs, 2.000 SPs, Evil Spirit Blood. Tianyun easily killed Inspector Zhao, and it obviously surprised Fan Shuixuan and everyone else. But Fan Shuixuan was surprised beyond everyone else as she understood that the one that Tianyun killed was an evil spirit race cultivator. You did it. Fan Shuixuan clenched her fist in the air excitedly. She finally saw someone bold enough to kill the evil spirit race. She couldn't forget the thick heavy smell of blood that was a characteristic of evil spirit race now wafting off from the corpse on the platform. But it was soon gone as the tower teleported it away somewhere else. It was a well-known fact that the platform would be maintained by the tower almost immediately, including disposing of the dead body as it would be used for the next fight. Next, Tianyun shouted towards another patrol. He pulled his spirit tool-grade weapon as it would suffice for now. Besides, it would give an impression that he might not be that strong. If he pulled out his divine tools right now, the evil spirit race cultivator might run away, and it would complicate things. His action startled everyone as no one expected that he would go after 2 patrols one after another. It was really impressive to see such a young man as brave as Tianyun. Damn it, human. This time, I will be the one that will kill you, another patrol officer coldly shouted as he released his power and showed his true appearance. Clearly, he didn't care whether his cover was blown or not. He then pulled out 4 spirit weapons from his storage ring and held each sword in his hand. He released every ounce of his core transformation aura, which affected everyone that watched the fight on the sideline as they trembled in fear. Inspector Liu is going to kill that young man, one cultivator from the side said worriedly. It was pitiable as that boy may have a bright future, but once Inspector Liu uses his 4-armed sword secret art, no one would be able to hold him off, another cultivator said with a disappointed expression. The murmur among the cultivators was heard from the side as they didn't even realize that Inspector Liu had transformed back to his evil spirit race form. But aside from the 4-arm, Inspector Liu's appearance didn't look that different from any normal cultivator. It seems the evil spirit race has made up a lie regarding their appearance. People seem to think that it was some kind of martial art right now. Tianyun said with a frown on his face. How dare you kill Inspector Zhao? You are dead meat, kid. Inspector Liu said coldly before rushing towards Tianyun and swung his weapons around, trying to cut Tianyun in pieces. Tianyun just dodged it slightly, but he made it look like he was trying hard to dodge the attack. Fan Shuixuan clenched her fist as she watched Tianyun from the sidelines. She thought that Tianyun was in a dire situation. If Tianyun were wounded by the evil spirit race cultivator's attack, it wouldn't be pretty. She really wanted to help Tianyun right now, but that was impossible as the tower had acknowledged the battle, and no one would be able to penetrate the barrier of the platform. The bypassers also shook their heads as they thought that Tianyun would die this time. They thought Tianyun should be grateful for his victory against Inspector Zhao and left right away, but he turned greedy instead and challenged another patrol to the duel. The other patrol also felt the same thing. They thought that Inspector Liu wouldn't lose against a teenager, and the annoying, arrogant young man would finally be killed for his arrogance. There was no way the young man would be able to dodge the attack for long, but it was all just a thought. Hey, is that it? Tianyun said as he swiped the swords on Inspector Liu's hand aside and pierced his chest with one attack. This is impossible, Inspector Zhao said as he looked at the sword on his chest. He wanted to rip the sword out and ran away, but he knew that it was the end of him as he felt his strength fading. Ding! Successfully killed Inspector Liu. Reward, 150.000 EXP, 8.000 CPs, 2.800 SPs, Evil Spirit Blood. Tianyun didn't get anything good from killing both inspectors as Evil Spirit Blood was the only item worth mentioning. Inspector Liu's flame imprint also burned and catapulted towards Tianyun, then settled inside Tianyun's flame imprint. Since Inspector Lu's flame imprint was the same as Inspector Zhao, it didn't give Yi Tianyun the additional flame imprint. Yi Tianyun sighed as he thought that this took too long. He wanted to earn his flame imprint much quicker. Meanwhile, the other patrols were shocked beyond belief. The inspector that they thought should have the upper hand against the young man was killed easily. Furthermore, Inspector Lu was at core transformation stage, meaning the young boy must be at core transformation rank. Or was it void spirit rank? They never thought to stumble upon a young man that already reached void spirit stage here in ancient netherworld divine tower, as there was barely any genius cultivator left their faction. But as they looked over to Yi Tianyun once more, they noticed that the young man was a little bit out of breath, so they thought that the young man should be easy prey now. Is there anyone else who wants to fight me? Yi Tianyun said as he pointed his sword at the patrol. I'll go next, another patrol said as he smirked to Yi Tianyun. He noticed that Yi Tianyun was out of breath, so he thought it was going to be an easy one. But none of them knew that Yi Tianyun was just acting, and they fell right into his trap. Chapter 793 Yi Tianyun wanted to deceive more evil spirit race cultivators so that he could supplement his flame imprint, as he didn't want to drag things down. He wanted to rush towards the third layer city as fast as he could. The third layer city and above was when the real fight started, as the first and second layer was for the beginner cultivators. Yi Tianyun kept challenging the evil spirit race cultivator one after another. Yi Tianyun even pretended to succumb to exhaustion once in a while to make sure that the evil spirit race kept on coming. Yi Tianyun smirked as he found the situation was a little bit funny. The evil spirit race didn't seem to notice that Yi Tianyun killed them effortlessly. Their arrogance surely would become their downfall. Big brother Yi, what are you doing? Fan Shuixuan said anxiously, as she also believed that Yi Tianyun was already exhausted, but he still challenged another guard callously. You are dead now, stupid human. Another patrol jumped up the platform and immediately rushed towards Yi Tianyun with his sword drawn. Yi Tianyun dodged it in the last second, deliberately letting the blade rip his clothes while seemingly faking an injury. Damn it, Yi Tianyun said with a frown on his face. He let the patrol attack as much as he wanted while he was constantly dodging the attack before piercing the patrol's heart with his own sword. The patrol was killed with a single attack, but the most important thing was Yi Tianyun's act actually fooled everyone. Inspector Huang died. The people were startled as they didn't think that it was possible. Come on to the next one, Yi Tianyun said as he stood with the support of his sword, keeping up his acting. Damn you, human, let me be the next one, another patrol said as he walked towards the platform. Yi Tianyun has already killed 3 patrols so far, and the evil spirit race obviously couldn't forgive what he did. They had never lost against a human before, but this time they were killed successively by this human, so they couldn't contain their anger any longer. The patrol began attacking as he jumped up into the platform, and Yi Tianyun kept up his act before attacking the patrol with a desperate and seemingly weak attack. Of course, it wasn't truly a weak attack, as it instantly penetrated the patrol's chest easily. Once again, another patrol died from Yi Tianyun's attack. Yi Tianyun received another flame imprint, and this time, it seemed the flame imprint would be able to reach the third layer after one more challenge. Come on, who's next? Yi Tianyun said as he clutched his sword as if he would fall as the wind blew, but obviously, it was just acting. Is this brat doing this on purpose to lure the patrol to their death? A cultivator said from the side as he started to suspect Yi Tianyun wasn't exhausted at all. I don't know, but it might be true, another one said with a frown on his face. Yi Tianyun noticed that people started to doubt him, so he knew he couldn't pretend to be exhausted for much longer. Damn it, how could you kill my companion with that weak attack? Fine, this is my turn, another patrol said as he jumped to the platform and released all of his power. He even showed his true appearance as he pulled out 4 swords and rushed towards Yi Tianyun. But Yi Tianyun disappeared from his sight, and as he frantically tried to look for Yi Tianyun, a flash of light went through his body. He looked to his side and saw Yi Tianyun stand not too far from him with an indifferent look on his face. He moved his body as he wanted to attack Yi Tianyun when he realized that his body was suddenly cut in half. The patrol has already been cut by Yi Tianyun's attack, but he wasn't bright enough to notice it. Ding! Successfully killed. Inspector Hua. Reward: 150.000 EXP, 8.000 CPs, 2.800 SPs, Evil Spirit Blood. The flame imprint from the last patrol was catapulted towards Tianyun and settled on his arm, but this time, the third flame imprint finally appeared. This guy, it's all just an act. He was neither weak nor exhausted, the patrol said with fear in their eyes. Fan Shuixuan was surprised by this turn of events as she was really worried about Tianyun earlier. Big Brother Yi is only pretending to be exhausted. Even I buy that for a second, Big Brother Yi. Fan Shuixuan said with a frown on her face. Tianyun just smiled at Fan Shuixuan as he didn't know what to say to that. He turned his head to the rest of the patrol and noticed their cold eyes full of killing intent looking straight at Tianyun. But one more thing that Tianyun noticed was that the patrol couldn't hide their greed as they thought Tianyun was premium meat. A young man with incredible innate ability would be a huge boost to the evil spirit race cultivation. A genius finally come. We have to report this. The patrol said among themselves. We don't have to do anything. Once he gets to third layer city, someone will defeat him for sure, another patrol said expectantly. The other patrol nodded as they believed that would be the case too. Now, anyone else wants to fight me? Tianyun said as he stared at the patrol. But the cultivators on the side looked down as they didn't want to fight Tianyun. They know that there was no chance for them to win against Tianyun. Tianyun noticed that he wouldn't get another fight in this city, but it wouldn't matter right now as he already had the third flame imprint. He could just leave this city and challenge the next one. Furthermore, the cultivators in this city weren't good enough, so it would probably be better to get to the higher layer. After all, there was no threat to him here. Chapter 794 Inches. Don't you want to avenge your fallen companion? Tianyun said to the patrol coldly. We are only a patrol. Don't mix us with some thugs that would come down and fight, one of the patrols, who was obviously an evil spirit race, said helplessly. What a bunch of cowards. At least your companion did fight me to avenge their fallen comrade earlier, unlike you, a bunch of cowards hiding behind the pretext of duty. Tianyun said tauntingly. He deliberately made it sound as taunting as possible because he wanted to reel in those evil spirit race people to fight him. Tianyun didn't have any interest in fighting other cultivators as his objective was solely to destroy the evil spirit race. Tianyun had other bloodlines that he could use to mask his Sealing Heaven Divine King bloodline, so he believed that the evil spirit race people wouldn't be able to detect his bloodline. The only thing they would see was the Dragon God bloodline, and Tianyun suspected that it should be enough to bait such a greedy race. The evil spirit race patrol that Tianyun taunted was indeed irritated by his taunt. The ancient Netherworld Divine Tower was now their territory. Although they couldn't control the tower, they were in charge of it nonetheless. Seeing someone trample on their pride like this obviously angered them. In fact, one of the patrols wanted to jump into the platform, but another patrol dragged him away. Are you crazy? You won't be able to defeat that brat. I hate to say this, but his cultivation is really strong for his age. It's probably best to leave it to the third layer city to deal with him. The patrol said as he dragged his comrade away from the platform. They were definitely furious because of Tianyun's taunting, but they tried hard to keep a level head. Let's get out of here, the patrol said to each other as they left the platform area. After they all left, Tianyun sighed as he failed to purge evil spirit race from the first layer city, but Tianyun was still satisfied that he could kill 5 of them here and got his hands on the third flame imprint. Some residents of the city snickered as they began to think that the patrol wasn't that tough. However, they knew it was still impossible for them to win against the patrol right now. After Tianyun went down the platform, Fan Shuixuan immediately rushed towards him joyfully. Big Brother Yi, you are so powerful. I didn't expect you to win against those people, but it turns out you are just pretending all along, she said with a big smile on her face. Well, it was easy to lie towards your enemy, but the hard part is to fool your allies. Tianyun smiled. You are mocking me, aren't you, Big Brother Yi? Fan Shuixuan said while puffing her cheeks. Well, it doesn't matter now. I'm heading to the third layer city after this, and you should stay here as this place is probably a lot safer than the upper city. Tianyun said solemnly. Why did you help me out? Who are you really? Fan Shuixuan wondered out loud. It was too soon for me to tell you, but it's just that your goal was in line with my own goal, so I'm not really helping you out. Tianyun said with a smile on his face. Tianyun then patted her head before heading towards the stairs beside the platform to go to the second layer city. Be careful up there. I will catch up with you soon. Fan Shuixuan shouted at Tianyun. She was determined to follow Tianyun up as soon as she could. She immediately psyched herself up as she wanted to earn her own flame imprint. Tianyun smiled as he left Fan Shuixuan behind. He didn't want to bring Fan Shuixuan with him because it was easier for him to act alone than having an additional burden. The interior of the ancient Netherworld Divine Tower was easy to explore, so he didn't need her guide anymore. After all, the first layer city might be best for her due to its safety. Tianyun climbed the winding stairs with many other cultivators that had 2 flame imprints on their arms. These people clearly have triumphed over their opponent to get their hands on the second flame imprint. Tianyun noticed that the stair itself was also a type of test as it was a little bit difficult, unlike normal stairs. Obviously, Tianyun ignored these people and walked up the stairs indifferently. He could feel the gravity was different on the stairs as it was more difficult to make his way up. He overtook other cultivators easily, surprising them as it took everything they got to keep going. Tianyun didn't care about these cultivators that looked at him with awe and envy. As he went higher, the flame imprint on his arms started to flash, and as he got to the top of the stairs, it flashed brightly, granting him permission to enter the second layer city. As soon as Tianyun stepped his foot on the top of the stairs, he saw patrol not far from the stairs giving him an intimidating look, but clearly, they weren't Tianyun's concern right now. The first thing that Tianyun noticed as soon as he entered the second layer city was the spiritual power on the second layer city that was much stronger than the first layer city. But the environment was still the same as there were green trees, a mountain, a river, and a small city. Do you want to join our faction? Suddenly, a cultivator came over and asked Tianyun to come with him. But not long after, another cultivator intervened and asked Tianyun the same question. Tianyun sighed and ignored these people as he didn't want to stay here for too long. So, he immediately walked towards the stairs in the middle that connected the place with third layer city. What is going on? Isn't that guy new here? Why is he heading to the third layer city right off the bat? A cultivator was confused by what Tianyun was doing. Chapter 795 Ancient Netherworld Divine Tower hasn't changed much, and the rules in second layer city were a little bit strange. The second layer city had the highest population out of the entire city inside the tower, and the average cultivation level in this city was core transformation stage. The first thing that cultivators needed to do here on second layer city was joining a faction. The faction would keep watch on other factions, and once they gauged the power of their enemies, they would order a challenge. This was also why Tianyun didn't want to stick around the second layer city, as it was too much of a hassle for him. In the third layer city, everyone was free to challenge anyone without any restriction. The cultivators on third layer city couldn't even refuse a challenge as the rules stated that everyone had to accept the challenge in any condition. That was why the second layer city was the most populated city inside the tower, as it was safer for the cultivator to be here than on the third or higher level. They could even trade flame imprint here on second layer city as there was no punishment for deliberately losing a duel. The worst thing that could happen to a cultivator was losing their flame imprint and being forced to go back to first layer city. There was no other punishment other than that. But this rule applied to the third layer city and higher too. The moment they had less flame imprint than the city's requirement, they would be forced to go back to the previous city. This rule wasn't really that important for Tianyun as he only wanted to destroy the evil spirit race, and he had no intention to stay at second layer city anyway. It was better to challenge the evil spirit race on the third layer city as they couldn't reject the challenge notion. The only condition where the challenge would be invalid was when the cultivator was injured or already participated in a challenge recently. This was to make sure that the cultivator had the time to recuperate from their previous duel before starting the next one, making it a fair challenge. This was why the third layer city and above was the best place to gain flame imprint, as rejecting a challenge was pretty hard to come by. Soon, Tianyun reached the third layer city and immediately sensed that the place was definitely better than the second layer city as the spiritual energy was richer and thicker than the second layer city. Tianyun realized that as he go up a level, the condition would be so much better for cultivation. Hey, newbie, a cultivator near the stairs called Tianyun over. The cultivator seemed to assess Tianyun's appearance and frowned as soon as he realized that Tianyun didn't have any faction badge on him. Which faction did you come from? The cultivator asked curiously. Obviously, this cultivator was there to pick up his own faction's cultivator that has successfully collected the flame imprint. This kind of behavior was normal as it would be safer to cultivate in groups than cultivating alone in this competitive environment. That was just how it worked here on ancient Netherworld Divine Tower. It was a great place to cultivate, and the flame imprint could be exchanged for some martial arts or some medicine that could help the cultivation grow faster. However, Tianyun didn't have any interest in joining any faction at all, as it would just increase his workload later. I don't have any faction, and my goal is to challenge the city lord here, Tianyun said indifferently. Starting from third layer city, the city was managed by a city lord, and those who could defeat the city lord in battle would become the new city lord, thus speeding up flame imprint they got and mastering greater martial arts. You want to challenge the city lord? The cultivators that heard Tianyun's word were confused. Their first thought is that the newbie was too arrogant for his own good, as there was no way a newbie would win against the city lord as soon as he arrived at the city. But Tianyun didn't care about their opinion, as the only thing that mattered for Tianyun was to gain flame imprint to go to higher layer and kill the evil spirit race, purging them from the tower. Tianyun walked away from cultivators on the stairs and immediately walked towards the city palace. He believed that the city palace would be full of evil spirit race people. There was no way the evil spirit race would let other groups control the city in their territory, so the evil spirit race should be highly concentrated in the palace. Soon, he arrived in front of the palace, and he was immediately stopped by some cultivator. Who are you, newcomer? The cultivator asked, as they had never seen Tianyun before. They didn't know that Tianyun had just arrived at third layer city just a moment ago. Tianyun knew that he couldn't kill or even less fight the evil spirit race he met outside of the platform that had been designated for that purpose. This was the sole rule that couldn't be violated inside ancient Netherworld Divine Tower. If this rule was violated, the offender would be punished severely. Tianyun ignored these cultivators and walked towards the throne room directly. He saw blood flowing down the stairs from the throne room and many piles of bones on the side. If any other cultivator saw this scene, they would definitely shiver on their way, as it was so gruesome. But obviously, Tianyun was different from any other's cultivator. Although the city lord that was obviously part of the evil spirit race couldn't kill his victim, he could just keep them alive. Of course, the victim would be badly injured, and the victim would be silenced throughout the entire process to make sure that he wouldn't be interrupted. Tianyun wasn't surprised. He already expected every city lord in each city would be an evil spirit race cultivator, so this gruesome scene wasn't such an unexpected sight he would see on his way towards the city palace. There was no doubt on his mind that he would kill all this city lord as soon as he went up a level inside the tower. Hey, trash city lord. You are garbage and disgusting creature. Come down here and accept my challenge. Tianyun shouted coldly. Chapter 796. Someone rushed inside the throne room and saw the true face of City Lord Qin Sheng. He immediately burst into anger and threw the cultivator on his hands to the ground, but the cultivator was immediately enveloped in bright energy that delayed her fall, keeping her alive. But even if she was still alive, at the state she was in, it was almost the same as dead, as her flesh and blood had been consumed by the evil spirit race. Human! How dare you enter my throne room? City Lord Qin Sheng shouted furiously. The guards that were guarding the perimeter rushed inside as soon as they heard Qin Sheng shouted. They immediately surrounded Tianyun, as they couldn't kill him either. You are not human. How dare the enemy of all living beings in this world assume the position of the city lord? Didn't you guards see that you have been serving an evil spirit race that consumes humans like mere cattle? Tianyun already knew that the two guards that charged in just now weren't part of the evil spirit race. What are you talking about? Are you trying to pit us against our lord? The guards said as they rushed towards Tianyun to grab him. Tisk, you guys are really pathetic. Tianyun said as he gently waved his palm towards the guards. His attack instantly killed the guards, but he didn't get punished, as it was just self-defense. The flame imprint on the guard's arms was immediately catapulted towards Tianyun, further increasing his own flame imprint. Interesting. I don't know how you find out about our true identity, but you are going to die. City Lord Qin Sheng coldly said as he walked down his throne and pulled out a giant axe. Tianyun saw that Qin Sheng had 4 flame imprints on his arms, meaning that he was powerful enough to go to the 4th layer city, but chose to stay here and took the city lord position as his own. Nevertheless, Qin Sheng was only at the 6th layer void spirit stage. He was certainly powerful compared to the average cultivation level on the 3rd layer city. But still, it didn't matter against Tianyun. But then again, Tianyun couldn't attack first, as he was still bound by the ancient Netherworld Divine Tower's rule. But clearly, Qin Sheng was too furious to think rationally as he suddenly charged towards Yi Tianyun. The flame imprint on his arm suddenly shone, doubling his power as he attacked Yi Tianyun. Because of his status as the city lord, he could use the flame imprint to increase his power. You are dead meat, human. Now, become our food. Qin Sheng shouted as he smashed his axe towards Yi Tianyun's direction, and Netherworld's fire burst out of the axe, freezing everything on its path. Yi Tianyun neither dodged nor did anything as he just stared at Qin Sheng with a bored look on his face. Qin Sheng didn't really saw Yi Tianyun move, so he thought that Yi Tianyun must have been frozen, so he attacked once more. But as soon as Qin Sheng got close enough, he was startled as his axe was stopped. Amidst the ice that froze the air around him, Yi Tianyun wasn't affected at all. In fact, Yi Tianyun held the axe's blade like it was nothing. He didn't even bother to move from his position. How did you attain this much power at such a young age? Qin Sheng asked confusedly as he truly didn't expect a man at Yi Tianyun's age would be able to stop him like this. He tried to push the axe to cut the young man's hand, but it didn't even budge. City Lord Qin Sheng, there is an absurdly strong human rushing from the bottom. He already crushed our patrol. From the way it sounds, his cultivation was way above Void Spirit stage. But surely, he would taste very great once we got our hands on him. An evil spirit race guard reported as he walked slowly to the throne room. But as he saw what happened inside the throne room, he was startled as he didn't expect the human he mentioned was already inside Qin Sheng's throne room. It's him. He was the man that killed our patrol earlier. The guard shouted as he held Yi Tianyun's poster to make sure he was looking at the right guy. However, he was too late. Qin Sheng has already attacked him, meaning Yi Tianyun was free to retaliate. Once Qin Sheng attacked, the duel commenced, and it wouldn't end until either side lost their lives or gave up. What was it? I will become your food. Wow, I wonder how a weakling thrash like you can ever beat me. Yi Tianyun said tauntingly. He then slammed the giant axe that Qin Sheng was holding to the ground, dragging Qin Sheng along with it. Now, it seems that you're the one that will be the prey. Yi Tianyun said as he held the axe up again and swung it towards Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng immediately transformed back to his evil spirit race form and tried to defend himself by extending his extra arms to block the axe, but unfortunately for him, his speed and defense were not enough to block Yi Tianyun's attack. The axe cut through Qin Sheng's arms before going right through his head. Ding! Successfully killed City Lord Qin Sheng. Reward. Yi Tianyun didn't care about the reward he got from killing Qin Sheng as the only important thing for him right now was the flame imprint. The flame imprint on his arms burned intensely as Qin Sheng's flame imprint integrated itself into Yi Tianyun's arms. Now, he would only need one more flame imprint to upgrade his flame imprint to the fourth flame imprint. Yi Tianyun also noticed that a blue ring emerged around the flame imprint, and Yi Tianyun realized that it had to be the mark of the third layer City Lord. Chapter 797. Even after killing City Lord Qin Sheng, Yi Tianyun wasn't satisfied at all. For him, it was only the beginning of his goal to purge the evil spirit race from ancient Netherworld Divine Tower. But he has already taken a significant step now as only a City Lord could challenge the higher level City Lord. Furthermore, the City Lord couldn't refuse another City Lord's challenge regardless of the circumstances. The City Lord challenge was different from the regular challenge. The City Lord could reject the regular challenge as long as they provided a certain condition to the challenger, for example, defeating certain people before earning the right to challenge the City Lord. This was a given provided that the City Lord bore the responsibility to take care of the city they were in charge of. Yi Tianyun didn't know who bore the City Lord position in a higher layer, but he speculated that all of them would be evil spirit race cultivators. This position provided so many benefits that there was no way the evil spirit race would let such an advantageous position fall into other races' hands. Yi Tianyun was very lucky that Qin Sheng charged straight at him without thinking earlier. If Qin Sheng kept his composure, Yi Tianyun had to wait for a certain amount of time before he could deal with Qin Sheng. Now, let's continue our fight, Yi Tianyun said as he turned his attention to the guards that attacked him earlier. He expanded his aura and covered the entire room. The guards immediately felt a foreboding shadow of death and thus immediately tried to escape, but unfortunately for them, their decision was a little too late. Yi Tianyun flashed in front of them and blocked their escape route. Stop! Don't kill me! The guards screamed while assuming a defensive position as they subconsciously tried to protect themselves. But once again, their action was futile as Tianyun easily cleaved them in two with the big axe that Qin Sheng used earlier. Tianyun got the guard's flame imprint, and he successfully upgraded the fourth flame imprint while the fifth flame imprint started to show itself faintly. Surely, it would be hard to upgrade the fifth flame imprint as the guard was only at the third flame imprint. It surely would be far easier to just go up another level instead of challenging the guards on the third layer city to upgrade his flame imprint. But when he checked the city lord status and found something that might be useful later, he found that the city lord had the authority to judge anyone they deemed a sinner regardless of whether they really violated the rules, as it was up to city lord's decision whether to punish the cultivator to duel or not. But still, the trials for the sinner only worked on those with the same level of flame imprint as the city that the city lord managed, meaning that Tianyun's privilege as the city lord wouldn't work on those that had fourth flame imprint or above. The most useful thing was that the city lord privilege could ignore the rule that prohibited challenging those who had just participated in another duel recently, meaning that there was no time given to the sinner to recuperate. But it was understandable as the city lord was supposed to set a trial instead of challenging the sinner. The city lord had a chance to hold 3 trials each month, meaning that Tianyun could kill 3 cultivators of his choice each month without evoking the tower's punishment. Tianyun then rushed towards the cultivator that Qin Sheng toyed around with earlier. He equipped the longevity necklace and longevity ring to help the poor cultivator. The female cultivator was badly injured as Qin Sheng also damaged her soul. Her blood essence has already depleted, meaning that Qin Sheng has feasted on her for quite some time. Although Tianyun has equipped his best equipment to save the female cultivator, it didn't mean he was omnipotent. Furthermore, the female cultivator was dying. This was beyond him unless he had the full set of longevity set. Thank you for killing that monster, the female cultivator said with a smile on her face. Even though she didn't want to die, at least she could see her enemy met the end he deserved. After expressing her gratitude to Tianyun, she died on his hand. But she died with a smile on her face. Tianyun sighed and covered the bodies in the room with his immortal fire. He didn't want the odor to spread further. Besides, he did it to honor the female cultivator to make sure no one could see her badly injured body. Tianyun then walked out of the throne room as he didn't have anything else to do in this place, but as soon as he opened the door, he saw that many cultivators had gathered on the bottom of the stairs as they heard the commotion on the city palace. They heard that someone was challenging the city lord, but they thought there was no way the challenger would win as the city lord was a very powerful cultivator. There was no way someone on third layer city could defeat such a man, but once they saw Tianyun coming out of the throne room and the blue ring on Tianyun's arm, they knew that the previous city lord had been killed. City lord, the cultivator shouted in surprise as they didn't want to get into the new city lord's bad side. They were terrified as the situation changed so fast, and they didn't even know the young man who successfully killed the previous city lord in such a short amount of time. Tianyun stared at the cultivator coldly, but since he didn't feel any evil spirit race's presence among the crowd, he ignored them and started to walk towards the stairs that would bring him to the fourth layer city. But suddenly, a man rushed towards Tianyun with strong killing intent. I challenge you, young man. How dare you kill City Lord Qin? Do you realize what you have gotten yourself into? The cultivator shouted coldly. The iron necklace on Tianyun's neck started to glow red, meaning that the cultivator that rushed towards him right now was part of the evil spirit race. Tianyun looked at the cultivator coldly, and as soon as the cultivator rushed close enough to where he was, Tianyun split the cultivator in 2 with the big axe that he got from Qin Sheng earlier. His goal was to slaughter the evil spirit race, so there was no need for him to hear anything they have to say. Chapter 798 Everyone witnessed the cultivator came as sudden as he accused Tianyun of killing the previous city lord in cold blood, but he was immediately killed by Tianyun without so much effort, instilling fear deep on their hearts. We didn't mean any harm. We're just here to see the new city lord with our own eyes, the cultivator said with their head down. Do you know about the evil spirit race? Tianyun asked the cultivators coldly. Evil spirit race. We don't know about them, the cultivators said while shaking their heads. They have heard about it, but they didn't know about them specifically. But it was normal for them to be unaware of the evil spirit race. After all, the demon war was already 1,000 years ago, and most of the records depicting the war were either lost in history or destroyed by the evil spirit race. Some big countries still passed down the story about the war and the evil spirit race, but the cultivators there surely didn't care about it or just solely forgot about their existence. Moreover, the cultivator inside the tower right now was more likely to be a rogue cultivator or cultivators from small faction trying to turn their lives around. Well, you will know about them soon enough. They are the enemies of the three realms. Tianyun coldly said as he turned around and walked towards the ladder leading to fourth layer city. The cultivators seemed confused by Tianyun's word as they didn't know what was going on. The story about the evil spirit race was scarce. In all honesty, the evil spirit race did really well on their parts to stay hidden. They could hide so well that no one knew about them, and they probably killed those who knew about them too. After Tianyun left for the fourth layer city, some cultivators came to third layer city, but they were surprised by what had happened. Qin Sheng has been killed, and the man who has become the new city lord has gone up to fourth layer city. We have to report to the elders. The city lord of third layer city has been killed, and the city lord in the upper city is in danger. One of the cultivators said nervously. They were the evil spirit race cultivator that was ordered to stop the young man that came out of nowhere and started challenging their patrol on the first layer city. They came to the third layer city as they didn't find the man in the second layer city, but they were shocked upon realizing that they were already too late. They knew that they might be too late to inform the fourth layer city as climbing the ladder to the fourth layer city would take some time. Besides, they didn't have any other means of communication other than going to the said level themselves. Tianyun kept going without any problem. The ladder towards the fourth layer city might be more challenging than those in the lower level, but that didn't mean it could halt Tianyun's progress. But even if everything seemed easy right now, Tianyun knew that he would soon face someone that might be more challenging than any other opponents he had battled with in the past. Soon, Tianyun arrived at fourth layer city and noticed nothing out of place from the third layer city, except for the spiritual energy that was clearly more potent than that of the third layer city. Like the first time he came to third layer city, some cultivators approached and asked which faction Tianyun came from. This was a normal question as all cultivators there on ancient netherworld divine tower wanted to survive by grouping up. I am not associated with any faction, Tianyun said with a sigh. He then left the confused cultivator and proceeded towards the city lord palace. But the cultivators earlier chased after him as he couldn't fathom what Tianyun had said. Wait, did you just say that you didn't have a faction up here? How did you get to come up? Did you already fight every single faction there is down there? The cultivator asked confusedly. This isn't the right time to talk. I want to challenge the city lord right away, Tianyun said indifferently. What? Did you want to die, brat? Why would you challenge the city lord right away? The cultivator asked as he was baffled by Tianyun's word. Seriously, this place has gone nuts. There was this hot woman that came up in the past that also did the exact same thing as this brat. And look at that. He already has the city lord imprint on his arms. Another cultivator said as he overheard what the previous cultivator was talking about with Tianyun. But look kid, Xinjiang, the city lord of this fourth layer city was actually the older brother of the city lord you just killed. If he knew that his brother was dead, you would be in serious danger, the cultivator said while shaking his head. Tianyun wanted to ignore these people, but he was intrigued about the woman who took the same path as him. A woman did the same thing I do, Tianyun said to himself, but he knew that it wasn't the right time to inquire about that as he had to complete his own mission. So, he ignored the cultivators and walked straight towards the city lord palace. He looked around on his way there and noticed that the average cultivation level was the late core transformation stage or early void spirit stage. The cultivation level of this place wasn't bad, but it wasn't something that Tianyun needed to concern himself with now. Suddenly, he heard a loud banging sound from the city lord palace. Tianyun looked really close and saw that the sky above the palace was filled with netherworld's fire, but there was another flame that tried to pressure the netherworld's fire. Immortal fire, Tianyun said to himself as he recognized the orange-colored fire. Tianyun thought about it for a while and arrived at one conclusion. The only person he knew that was also capable of controlling the immortal fire was Bai Shuiwang, the lord of the phoenix race. He knew from the cultivator earlier that a hot woman was walking the same path as he does, and if it were a woman, the probability that it was Bai Shuiwang increased exponentially. He rushed towards the city lord palace and went right through the crowds. Sure enough, he immediately saw Bai Shuiwang fighting against Qin Jian. Both of them were at Spirit King peak stage, making the battle even more intense. It really is her, Tianyun said to himself as he was surprised by this situation. Chapter 799. Tianyun didn't expect Bai Shuiwang to be here out of all places, but more importantly, why would she leave the Phoenix race behind? But it was most likely because Bai Shuiwang had learned about the evil spirit race. There was no way Phoenix clan and evil spirit race could coexist anyway, so here she was. Tianyun then observed the crowds and was a little bit surprised that he found some other elders of the Phoenix race among them, which was none other than shopkeeper Yi. With that knowledge, Tianyun wouldn't be surprised if he found some other Phoenix clan elders here later on. The Phoenix clan's cultivation was indeed strong, but Tianyun wasn't sure whether they could take on the evil spirit race that had already taken control over the ancient Netherworld Divine Tower by themselves. An explosion surprised everyone as Bai Shuiwang's immortal fire and Qin Jian's Netherworld's fire collided again, causing an explosion that would easily kill any normal cultivator. Immortal fire might be stronger than Netherworld's fire, but Qin Jian's Netherworld's fire was a lot more intense than Bai Shuiwang's immortal fire, so she was losing ground at the moment. I didn't expect to see a Phoenix bloodline in this place, but I welcome you gladly. Qin Jian laughed maniacally. He released the power of his City Lord's flame imprint, empowering his Netherworld's fire further. Qin Jian licked his lips as he was delighted to see Phoenix clan here. He really wanted to consume their bloodline so that he could further improve his power. As for Bai Shuiwang, she was trying hard to find a weak spot on Qin Jian's defense. She knew that she couldn't win against Qin Jian's Netherworld's fire, so she had to put everything to her own wits to win the battle. She knew that she couldn't prolong the battle like this. Otherwise, she wouldn't have any chance of winning. I'll wipe the grin out of that ugly face today, Bai Shuiwang said coldly. She tried to increase her immortal fire's firepower and summoned the Phoenix Phantom Shadow to assist her. She immediately clashed her immortal fire with Qin Jian's Netherworld's fire once again. My ugly face. It's so hard to see past your spiteful word, woman, Qin Jian said coldly. He used his Netherworld's fire to enhance his body, thus increasing his power several folds. This place is my territory. Even if you are the great Phoenix race, you're powerless here, Qin Jian coldly said as he started to wave his giant axe around. The giant axe was similar in terms of appearance to what Qin Sheng used in his fight with Tianyun earlier. The giant axe could just split Bai Shuiwang in half, and Qin Jian's attack wasn't slow either. As time went by, it was clear that Bai Shuiwang was in a dire as she looked exhausted, while Qin Jian didn't seem to be out of breath at all. Bai Shuiwang tried to dodge the attack with her amazing speed and successfully dodged it by a hairbreadth, but to what end? That is enough, Lord Bai. Shopkeeper Yi shouted as he didn't like the way things went. Bai Shuiwang herself knows that she was pushed to a corner, but she didn't want to admit that she lost just yet. There was nothing she hated more than losing. Furthermore, she really wanted to kill all these evil spirit race scumbags. Lord Bai, it is okay. Leave everything else to me, Tianyun said as he walked across the crowds. Every eye was immediately focused on Tianyun as they heard his arrogant words. Divine Envoy, Shopkeeper Yi shouted surprisedly. He didn't expect to encounter Tianyun here out of all places. Bai Shuiwang also glanced towards the voice inside as she used the last ounce of her power to empower the immortal fire for the last time. She turned into a huge phoenix and started to rush forward to attack Qin Jian. She successfully hit Qin Jian that was caught off guard since he didn't expect that Bai Shuiwang still got a fight left in her. She charged at Qin Jian like an arrow, resulting in Qin Jian not having enough time to get away. Bai Shuiwang herself didn't continue the battle as she rushed towards the edge of the platform and jumped out of it. The barrier that protected the platform immediately disappeared as it marked the end of the battle with Qin Jian's victory. At the same time, the flame imprint on Bai Shuiwang's arm was catapulted towards Qin Jian as then reward for his victory. I will let you win this one, Bai Shuiwang said with a smile on her face. She immediately disappeared as she was teleported back to the third layer city due to losing her qualification to stay in fourth layer city. She didn't have the fourth flame imprint anymore when she lost her duel against Qin Jian, but it didn't really matter for her. I didn't expect to be downed by that woman, Qin Jian said as he was annoyed by Bai Shuiwang's last struggle. He thought that he could win easily against Bai Shuiwang, that he was caught off guard at the last moment. Furthermore, Bai Shuiwang has escaped his clutch, further annoyed him since he couldn't get his hands on the rare Phoenix bloodline. But at the same time, Tianyun stepped up into the platform with his gaze still on Tianyun. I challenge Tianyun, the city lord of fourth layer city. Tianyun said coldly. No thanks, you aren't from Phoenix bloodline. I don't have any reason to fight you. Tianyun waved his hands dismissively. It doesn't matter whether you are interested or not. This duel is already a decided matter. Tianyun said as he showed Tianyun the blue circle on his third flame imprint, a sign that he was the city lord for third layer city, and the duel between two city lords couldn't be rejected. You are the third layer city's city lord. You killed my brother. Tianyun said as his eyes reddened and filled with fury. Well, for a weakling in a trash race like you and your brother, death is already the best thing I could give. Tianyun said with a smirk on his face. So, are you sure you don't want to fight me? Tianyun said coldly. Chapter 800 inches. You killed my younger brother. Tianyun shouted furiously. How dare you stupid human kill my younger brother? I will make sure you die a painful death. Tianyun shouted as he was consumed with rage. The barrier of the platform was erected as a sign that the duel officially began. Tianyun knew that Tianyun would be easily provoked as soon as he showed that his brother had been killed and thus took advantage of it. The evil spirit race was a race that would easily lose themselves in rage, especially those that never experienced it before. They easily lost their senses as they blindly attacked with rage, so Tianyun should be able to end it rather easily. There are a lot of people that want me dead, but you are actually weaker than most of them. Tianyun mocked Tianyun without showing the slightest worry of Tianyun's incoming attack, further provoking Tianyun. The cultivators on the side that watched the fight began to frown as they doubted that a young man like Tianyun could win against the city lord. They still didn't know about the evil spirit race, but surely, they were about to find out. How dare you? A trash like you dare to mock me? Tianyun furiously shouted as he began to swing his huge axe towards Tianyun. The fifth flame imprint on his arms burst out, enhancing Tianyun's power even further than when he was facing Bai Shuiwang. Devouring the heaven. Tianyun shouted as he released his aura completely. His body was immediately shrouded with the netherworld's fire, and the axe on his hands grew as it got even bigger than before, while also completely covered with the netherworld's fire. At this point, Tianyun didn't care about his identity at all. After all, nobody on this place really knew about the evil spirit race. Even if some of them knew about evil spirit race, he didn't have to worry. After all, they could be dealt with later on. Divine Envoy. Watch out for his power. He could utilize the tower's power since he is the city lord here. Shopkeeper Yi shouted as he was worried that Tianyun would fail to defend against the enemy attack. Tianyun didn't really mind Shopkeeper Yi's word as he already knew about it from his previous fight, but Tianyun was still leagues apart from Tianyun. Even with that much netherworld's fire, that's all you got. How pathetic. Tianyun said as he activated the fourth flame imprint on his hands and summoned his immortal fire. The cultivators on the side once again thought that Tianyun lacked combat experience. Although Tianyun's fire did seem impressive, it wouldn't be able to stop Tianyun's fire. Furthermore, Tianyun's fifth flame imprint was one level above Tianyun's fourth flame imprint. You are too naive, kid. Coldly Jian said as he waved his axe over towards Tianyun's head. He was confident that Tianyun wouldn't be able to defend against his attack, so he focused himself on attacking. As he swung his axe, it radiated an intense fire attack that would definitely engulf everything it touched. But Tianyun calmly raised his hand and stopped the axe with minimum effort. The fire headed straight towards Tianyun, but as it collides with immortal fire that Tianyun has summoned, it disappeared. The netherworld's fire that was brimming with power just a moment ago disappeared without a trace. The weak-looking immortal fire that Tianyun summoned earlier completely devoured Tianyun's fire. How is this possible? Tianyun said as his complexion turned pale. He used everything he got to kill his brother's killer, but he couldn't even graze his clothes. The cultivators that watched the duel intensely were clearly stunned and confused by what just happened. They didn't understand why a young man such as Tianyun could block such an overwhelming attack from their city lord. Furthermore, the young man's weak little fire completely overpowered the city lord's intense fire. Now, do you still think that the human race is trash? I already cut your brother in half, and I am about to do the same thing to you. Now, where is the power that you evil spirit race bragging? Tianyun said challengingly. Tianyun tried to pull the axe from Tianyun's hands, but it didn't budge, not even a millimeter. City Lord Qin, I'm here to inform you about the third layer city's City Lord. We have to discuss. The guard rushed to the platform, but they were stunned as soon as they saw that their City Lord was being overpowered. Qin Jian's storage ring immediately flashed, and another giant axe appeared on his hand. Qin Jian immediately abandoned the axe Yi Tianyun held and immediately swung his new axe aiming for Yi Tianyun's waist. But clearly, Yi Tianyun wasn't having it and immediately struck Qin Jian with the axe that he was holding. Fortunately for Qin Jian, Yi Tianyun attacked him with the handle of the axe, not the blade, so Qin Jian was thrown to the barrier of the platform that served like a wall. Clearly, even though he was still alive, Qin Jian was heavily injured. How can a human possess this much power? Qin Jian said as he was terrified of Yi Tianyun's monstrous power. He immediately stood up again, but this time he wanted to get out from the barrier to save himself. The fact that Yi Tianyun had killed his brother earlier wasn't important anymore. Human race is far more powerful than what you can imagine. Yi Tianyun said as he clenched his fist and punched Qin Jian's head. A beam of blue light appeared as Yi Tianyun's fist landed on Qin Jian's head and covered Qin Jian's body. As soon as the blue light disappeared, everyone was surprised as Qin Jian was already frozen solid, turned into an ice sculpture. Chapter 801. Everyone was confused when Qin Jian was frozen solid as it seemed Yi Tianyun was using immortal fire instead of netherworld fire. Ding! Successfully killed Qin Jian. Reward: 360 million EXP, 56.000 CPs, 5.000 SPs, Evil Spirit Race Blood, Axe of the Evil Spirit Bone, Soul of Evil Spirit Race. Yi Tianyun gained a lot of evil spirit-related stuff out of killing Qin Jian. But he didn't seem interested for the moment and chose to take a look at them later. Everyone else in the vicinity was clearly still stunned as they didn't expect someone like Qin Jian, who had a better flame imprint, would be defeated so easily. That is not the power of immortal fire. It wasn't the netherworld fire either. It was the heavenly yin fire. A fire so strong that only a select few can possess. A cultivator shouted on the side. Everyone was even more surprised as they heard this claim. They have heard that if they got to the 8th layer city, they would have a chance to make the power heavenly yin fire their own, but clearly, this young man in front of them was already able to control it. The people in the upper level of the tower had much better resources than those living in any level below. That was why it was very rare to see anyone from the higher floor came down willingly. At the same time, the flame imprint from Qin Jian's arm was catapulted to Yi Tianyun's arm, evolving Yi Tianyun's flame imprint to the 5th flame imprint. As soon as his flame imprint has successfully leveled up, Yi Tianyun kicked Qin Jian's ice sculpture to the ground, shattering it to pieces. Yi Tianyun didn't feel any mercy towards the evil spirit race, and therefore, he wouldn't leave any trace of the evil spirit race behind. With Qin Jian died, Yi Tianyun successfully became the city lord of the 4th layer city. But now that he relinquished his right of becoming the city lord of 3rd layer city, the role of city lord on 3rd layer city was vacant. Anyone who wanted that status could get it as soon as they were qualified and finished a certain assessment. You are too late. He is already dead, Yi Tianyun said as he smiled at the guard that came to report back to Qin Jian. It was clear that the guard was scared of Yi Tianyun as he began to backpedal. Yi Tianyun instantly knew that the guard must be part of the evil spirit race and let out his killing intent with a smile on his face. The guard immediately turned around and fled the scene as he wanted to get away from Yi Tianyun, but it was already too late. Yi Tianyun flashed towards the fleeting guard and created a barrier that trapped the guards within. The spectators around immediately jumped aside as they didn't want to get caught in whatever was going on. Yi Tianyun immediately threw a ball of flame and froze the guard just like what he did to Qin Jian earlier. Ding! Successfully killed the guard of 4th layer city palace. Reward: 31 million EXP, 16.000 CPs, 2.000 SPs, Evil Spirit Race's blood. Killing these people was a good resource for Yi Tianyun as he got a good amount of sin points. It was obvious as the evil spirit race has done a lot of awful things. But right now, the cultivators on 4th layer city thought of Yi Tianyun as nothing but a cruel person since they didn't know why he killed the guard out of the blue. They didn't know anything about the evil spirit race, so what Tianyun did only seemed like a discrimination. Divine Envoy, you are as powerful as ever. No one else could match you in this realm. Shopkeeper Yi said with a smile on his face. It seems I was concerned for nothing. Shopkeeper Yi said with a sigh of relief. Thanks, but are you here to destroy the evil spirit race too? Tianyun asked curiously. Yes, we acquired the information about the evil spirit race and found out that they have made the ancient netherworld divine tower. Now that the Phoenix clan is in a stable condition, we plan to eradicate the evil spirit race from the ghost world. Shopkeeper Yi answered enthusiastically. The Phoenix clan has always cared about their surrounding, and it was understandable that they would try to eliminate the evil spirit race due to the danger they possessed. Tianyun was obviously satisfied by the Phoenix race's fast response. Tianyun also knew that the evil spirit race was trying to control the heavenly netherworld divine nation to take control over heavenly netherworld divine tower. This place was the best cultivation spot in the ghost world, if not across the three realms. That was why Tianyun had to take over the tower as soon as possible before the evil spirit race found a way to take control over the tower completely. I am done here. I am going ahead to 5th Layer City to challenge the next city lord. Tianyun said casually to shopkeeper Yi. Tianyun wanted to get things done as soon as possible. If he could reach the 8th Layer City soon, he would have an equal footing with the evil spirit race reigning over the tower. Once he reached the realms of Elder, these evil spirit race wouldn't be able to do everything the way they wanted anymore. Chapter 802 Tianyun quickly ascended to the 5th Layer City as he wanted to conquer the tower as soon as possible. Tianyun knew that he got to control ancient netherworld divine tower as soon as possible as there was a chance the gate to another world could be opened in this exact place. If he was too late, more demons could come and devastated the three realms with ease. Furthermore, he already promised himself to destroy the evil spirit race, and it was aligned with his quest. When he came to the 5th Layer City, the number of cultivators inside was far smaller than the number of cultivators on the previous floor. The cultivation of these cultivators was also far higher than people on the previous floor as Tianyun noticed that most of them were at Spirit King stage. It's the new kid. He is the new 4th Layer City's City Lord after defeating the 3rd and the 4th City Lord consecutively. That kid must be thinking of challenging Master Su Changming. But does the City Lord want to accept his challenge? The cultivator wondered as he talked with another cultivator. Well, I guess we will have to wait to find out, hee, the other cultivator said enthusiastically. There was no one waiting at the entrance of the stairs this time. It was obvious that the news about Tianyun conquering each floor has reached this floor, so no one thought of receiving him this time. 4th Layer City Lord, are you here to challenge Master Su Changman? One of them said with a big smile on his face. They clearly didn't know Tianyun's name, but since Tianyun was the 4th Layer City's City Lord, they just called him by his title. Su Changman, an evil spirit race cultivator that named himself with a common surname in this world. Now that's hilarious, Tianyun said while shaking his head. It was obvious that the evil spirit race was trying hard to blend in with the people of this world. What are you talking about? The cultivators asked as they were confused by Tianyun's word. Don't you know those people that called themselves the City Lord or the Elder of this place is actually evil spirit race? Tianyun challengingly asked as he looked around the area. These people were at Spirit King stage, so they should have heard about the evil spirit race before. Well, we have heard about it before, but what is the problem? One cultivator asked as he was confused. I have heard that the evil spirit race was a race that could devour another cultivator to gain their power, another cultivator chimed in. Since some of you already knew about them, then you should get the big picture already. Tianyun said casually. I don't think it matters right now. They have nothing to do with us anyway. They can eat any cultivator for all I care as long as they don't bother us, another cultivator said indifferently. Yes, that is true. As long as we got along fine with them, they wouldn't do anything to us. Other people's lives have nothing to do with me, another cultivator said indifferently. Do you really think that you'll be alright as long as you leave them alone? Tianyun coldly said as he began to think that these cultivators didn't seem to get it even after what he said. Boy, are you sure your head is alright? Are you seriously thinking that you are some kind of savior that comes here to save us? Don't you hear us? As long as we leave them alone, they wouldn't do anything to us, another cultivator said annoyedly. Yeah, that's right. They are the master of this tower, and there is no merit in picking a fight with them. It's wiser to follow them than putting the odds against you, the cultivator nodded as they agreed with that wise word. They looked at Tianyun with disdain as they thought that nothing good would come from listening to Tianyun. But Tianyun didn't really care about these people. Obviously, a human that tried to leech off the evil spirit race was the enemy of humanity. But then again, there was no need for Tianyun to save them here, as the enemy of humanity should perish as soon as the evil spirit race that they adored so much disappeared from this world. Now, if someday the evil spirit race successfully rules over the three realms and then one day they had the urge to devour a cultivator that may be your family in the future, will you still bow your head to serve them? Tianyun asked coldly. What are you talking about, you idiot? That is impossible. If by any chance it happens, I will serve them more devotedly as I am sure that they would treat us better that way, the cultivator tried to mock Tianyun. I will judge you, Tianyun said coldly, and an intense light immediately enveloped the cultivator. The cultivator in question tried to run away, but he was too slow, so the sharp light pierced the cultivator's heart, killing him in an instant. Tianyun was furious that the cultivator was so adamant about serving the evil spirit race. Nothing good would come from letting this kind of people walk freely in this world. The cultivators even went as far as mocking those that tried to dethrone the evil spirit race. This was why there was no need for Tianyun to show mercy to this kind of people. Evil spirit race should be exterminated, and nothing could compromise Tianyun from achieving that goal. The evil deeds that the evil spirit race has done were unforgivable, and killing them as quickly as possible was his way of showing mercy. But then again, Tianyun wasn't surprised to hear that some humans even went as low as sacrificing their own family to gain power and advantages over others. That kind of man would have no problem at all lowering their heads to the evil spirit race as long as they gained benefit and status over others. Fortunately, there weren't that many people who would stoop that low in the three realms. Otherwise, Tianyun's hard work would amount to nothing. Chapter 803 Tianyun killed every cultivator that stood in his way, be it evil spirit race people or not. He realized that most of the cultivators in this level were traitors that would gladly serve the evil spirit race without hesitation to save their hide. So, there is no point in letting these people live. Run away, the cultivators shouted in panic as they knew that Tianyun would use his city lord's title to kill anyone he deemed worthless. They didn't know for sure how strong Tianyun was, but Tianyun was definitely a lot stronger than them. Tianyun just looked at the fleeing cultivator coldly without the intention to go after them. Killing people that have lost their will to fight was a waste of time. Furthermore, none of the evil spirit race cultivators was among them. After that, Tianyun immediately walked towards the city lord palace as his goal was to kill the city lord and ascend the level. At the same time, two of the fleeing cultivators earlier didn't escape towards their faction, but instead, they ran towards the city lord palace. Master Su, we are in danger, the cultivator said nervously. What happened? Su Changmin curiously asked as he sat on his throne. The cultivator that killed the Qin brothers has come to this city to challenge you, my lord, the cultivators reported nervously. Su Changmin waved his hands to the guards and looked at the cultivators closely. Su Changmin's appearance was far different compared to the ordinary evil spirit race as he looked like a nerd with his thin body and nerdish look. Then again, the six-flame imprint on his arms said otherwise. What did he tell you earlier? Did you have any information about him? Su Changmin asked curiously. He said that you are part of the evil spirit race, one of the worst races out there, and he promised to get rid of every single one of this race from this tower, the cultivator answered nervously. We didn't believe what he said, as we know that Master Su is so kind and always rewards us for helping out in the city. If he comes here, we will protect you, my lord, the other cultivator said confidently. They tried to assert their loyalty in front of Su Changmin as they deemed it necessary to get the rewards they wanted. It seems you are loyal to us, evil spirit race. When our evil spirit race dominates the three realms, do you still choose to stand with us against your own race? Su Changmin asked curiously. Of course. It's a given to serve the dominator. The three realms weren't even that strong if compared to you, my lord, the cultivator said confidently. Yes, my lord. We are willing to work hard to stand with you. We will do as you ordered, the other cultivator said confidently. Clearly, they wanted to take advantage of this situation as they thought that joining the evil spirit race would reap so much benefit. Interesting. Do you really want to abide by my order? Su Changmin asked curiously. Yes, my lord. We've always wanted to join your cause for a long time ago. We promise you that we will never betray you, the cultivator said at the same time. Trial. Su Changmin shouted casually, and both of the cultivators were immediately enveloped inside the dual barrier. Suddenly, Su Changmin returned to his evil spirit form and immediately grabbed one of the cultivators before devouring him completely. The other cultivator was too shocked to realize that he was in a dire situation as he trembled on the floor. Why? The cultivator asked while trembling on the floor. I have no intention to make trashes like you to be my subordinate. Obviously, you are not worthy enough to entrust my back on. You betrayed your own race without any second thought. What would stop you from betraying us in the future? Su Changmin said sinisterly. The cultivator was too scared to reply, so he cried to his heart content as he felt regret beyond belief. He didn't expect Yi Tianyun's words to be the truth. He then tried to stand up and escape the dual barrier as he thought that he would be safe once he got out of the dual barrier. But clearly, he was far too slow compared to Su Changmin's speed. Su Changmin intercepted him in an instant and stared at the cultivator coldly. I will let you live, but I need you to do something for me. Su Changmin said coldly. Anything, my lord, the cultivator said while keeping his head down, obviously scared of what would happen next. Drag that cultivator's name through the mud. Turn him into the enemy of your race. Su Changmin said coldly. All right, I will do as you told, the cultivator nodded. He didn't care what would happen to Yi Tianyun as his life was what mattered the most. Then, get out of my palace. Su Changmin coldly said as he was disgusted by the cultivator's existence itself. The cultivator nodded and hurriedly ran out of the palace, but before long, the cultivator's body was thrown inside the palace once again, and this time he was dead. Wow, I am a bit surprised that you didn't consume this traitor, a figure walked to the palace's door. It was Yi Tianyun who came here to challenge Su Changmin. I challenge you to a duel, worthless trash. Yi Tianyun coldly said as he stared at Su Changmin. Every evil spirit race out there was all worthless. There is nothing more distasteful than sharing this realm with such a disgusting race. Chapter 804. Yi Tianyun heard the conversation between Su Changmin and the two cultivators earlier. Yi Tianyun wasn't even angry at the two cultivators, he just felt pity towards them. It was obvious that people like them would sell out their own race to gain some leverage in life without a second thought, but they were clearly unfortunate to think that the evil spirit race would want them in their ranks. It was like a dog wagging its tail in front of a starving crocodile. You want to challenge me? Are you qualified to do so? Su Changmin said coldly. Well, it doesn't matter. Even if you refuse the match right now, you won't have any rights to decline again in 1 week. Yi Tianyun said coldly. Su Changmin was a proud evil spirit race that came from a strong family. He was at the 4th layer Saint King stage and even had good control over the Netherworld's fire. Su Changmin could be said a genius as he was still considered young in evil spirit race's standard. Su Changmin also has been taught the exclusive evil spirit descent, evil spirit swallow, and evil spirit devouring the sky martial arts with combat power reaching 4.5 billion points. It needed to be said as a normal Saint King stage cultivator at Su Changmin level only had around 2 billion points combat power. Furthermore, Su Changmin didn't even have any weapons on him, and his clothes didn't even seem like it could enhance his power. Su Changmin was definitely a genius among the evil spirit race. The previous two city lords definitely were nowhere near Su Changmin's level. The two could be compared to the old ancestor on mortal world, which didn't even come close to Su Changmin's level as he was unrivaled in the mortal world, but Yi Tianyun didn't really care about this fact. In a week, you will be crushed like a bug you are. Su Changmin said coldly. Good, I sure hope that you can. Yi Tianyun said indifferently. He knew that a duel between two city lords couldn't be avoided, so Yi Tianyun wasn't worried that Su Changmin would keep rejecting his challenge as it wasn't something that could be done. The only way for Su Changmin to avoid the duel would be leaving the ancient netherworld divine tower altogether, as he would be teleported to complete the duel no matter where he was, as long as he was still inside the tower. That kid has the smell of sealing heaven divine king's blood within him. I have to kill him no matter what. He is the enemy of our race. Su Changmin said as he turned around. A dark figure appeared from the shadow in the corner of the room with 6 arms and a dark body. This figure obviously one of the evil spirit race. That kid is a strange one. His cultivation is much more complicated than you think, and he might be much stronger than you. Gang Yuheng said as he looked at Su Changmin coldly. If you fight him, you may die. If he continued to climb the tower at his current rate, the elder would be worried for sure. Gang Yuheng said with a frown on his face. This is impossible. There's no way that kid is that strong. Su Changmin said as he refused to believe it. He is the one that destroyed the heavenly netherworld divine nation. Is this information enough to convince you? Gang Yuheng said calmly. Su Changmin was surprised and immediately shook his head. Although they've spent their lives inside this ancient netherworld divine tower, it didn't mean that they were completely isolated from the information in the outside world. The news that most people knew was that the heavenly netherworld divine nation was destroyed by the effort of the Phoenix race, but if Yi Tianyun were really the one that did all of it, then he was far more powerful than what Su Changmin thought. That kid is definitely the main perpetrator that destroyed the heavenly netherworld divine nation. Gang Yuheng said confidently. Su Changmin frowned as the grudge against Yi Tianyun suddenly arose within him. The evil spirit race has invested so much for the heavenly netherworld divine nation's prosperity and growth. One of their old ancestor-level cultivators was even dispatched there to watch over the development of that divine nation, but unfortunately, that cultivator was killed. Su Changmin knew that he was nowhere near the old ancestor's level, so he knew that he wouldn't win against Yi Tianyun. Now, our scouts say that they spotted the Phoenix race cultivator below. They heard the Phoenix race cultivator called him their divine envoy. That is proof that the man earlier was the main perpetrator of that incident. There is no way the Phoenix race would call a human their divine envoy without some special circumstance. Gang Yuheng said indifferently. So, are you still planning to fight him? Gang Yuheng asked curiously. No, I shouldn't fight him. But how can I avoid his challenge? No matter what I do, the duel would commence in a week. Su Changmin asked desperately. He was nervous as he knew that he had no way to win. That is true, but what if he died before the challenge started? Gang Yuheng smiled evilly. Dying before the duel started? Who could kill that monster? Did the ancestor want to deal with him on their own? Su Changmin asked curiously. If Yi Tianyun was really the one who destroyed heavenly netherworld divine nation, then the one that could stand against him was only the ancestor-level cultivator. Why would you think only an ancestor can end his life? We can use something else to finish him off. In the meantime, do whatever you want to do, and we will take care of him for you. Gang Yuheng said confidently with an evil smirk on his face. Su Changmin just nodded as he left it all Gang Yuheng's hands. Chapter 805 Yi Tianyun went down to the 4th layer city immediately after leaving Su Changmin's palace. There was no need for him to wait in 5th layer city, so he decided to go back to the city he had already conquered. Furthermore, he wanted to check on Bai Shuiwang and Fan Shuixuan. When he found out that both of them were still stuck below, he made his way to the 3rd layer city and immediately saw a commotion at the city lord palace. When Yi Tianyun got closer, he saw that Bai Shuiwang was the center of that commotion and that she was showing off the new flame imprint on her arm, clearly, a sign that she had already received the City Lord imprint. She couldn't become the fourth layer city's city lord, but she didn't have any issue conquering the third layer city. Yi Tianyun knew that Bai Shuiwang had absolutely decimated the evil spirit race in the third layer city, so she earned the qualification rather quickly. She really is a cunning woman, Yi Tianyun said to himself as he watched Bai Shuiwang's big smile from the crowd. The third layer city didn't have any Saint King expert, so she'd obviously become the strongest here. But nevertheless, this title of the third city lord does not reflect her real strength, as she deserved the fourth city lord status. There were two other phoenix race in the scene. It was Elder Yi, or rather known as Shopkeeper Yi, and Elder Lei. Both were obviously strong elders to boot. But compared to Elder Yi that already received his fourth flame imprint, Elder Lei still had the third flame imprint. But according to the information that he got from Shopkeeper Yi earlier, they've been stuck on the third layer city for almost 3 months now, as Qin Sheng rejected their challenge every time. When they realized that their challenge would never be answered, Elder Yi and Lord Bai decided to go to the fourth layer city to challenge Qin Jian. That was when Yi Tianyun entered the tower and caught up to them. Congratulations for becoming the third city lord, Yi Tianyun said with a smile on his face as he walked towards Bai Shuiwang. Thank you, but I didn't expect to meet you here. Did you receive any information regarding the evil spirit race too? Bai Shuiwang asked curiously. That is not the case. I came here to find the Holy King of ancient Netherworld divine nation. I didn't expect to find the evil spirit race was already taking over this place, Yi Tianyun said honestly. I guess that is to be expected. Anyway, we can't let these evil spirit race wrap their hands around this tower any further, Bai Shuiwang said solemnly. That is what I'm planning to do, Lord Bai. I want to exterminate them from this tower, but it's such a hassle to find them one by one. That is why I devised a plan to exterminate them in one fell swoop, Yi Tianyun said with a frown on his face. All right, I will trust you to do a good job, Bai Shuiwang said with a smile on her face. Yi Tianyun nodded his head and bid farewell with the Phoenix race for now. Yi Tianyun planned to search for Fan Shuixuan, and he wondered if Fan Shuixuan was still stuck at the second layer city. But when Yi Tianyun searched for Fan Shuixuan and couldn't find her on the second layer city, Yi Tianyun figured out that he should check the first layer city. But as soon as he reached the stairs leading to the first layer city, he saw a familiar figure that had a powerful netherworld's fire. It was Fan Shuixuan. She finally reached the second layer city. Maybe because she looked a little frail, people kept challenging her one after another, and that was why she was late to reach the second layer city, and also the reason why her netherworld's fire became so strong. Even if it was just a second flame imprint, her netherworld's fire couldn't be matched by the third flame imprint. It seemed, people failed to notice that she was a strong spirit core cultivator despite her frail look. But still, her goal to climb to the top was still just a dream. Her cultivation was too low to push beyond third layer city. Yi Tianyun then noticed many cultivators frowned as they looked at Fan Shuixuan. Clearly, they've already heard about what Fan Shuixuan had done in the first layer city. Obviously, they all acknowledged the fact that Fan Shuixuan had much better control over the netherworld's fire than anyone they had seen. It was to be expected, as Fan Shuixuan was the descendant of ancient netherworld divine king. It was natural for her to be able to control the netherworld's fire better than anyone else at her cultivation level. After she reached the second layer city, she didn't immediately go for a challenge, but instead, she meditated to control her power. She knew she wasn't strong enough yet, so she couldn't afford to be too hasty. It seems you're not half bad, Yi Tianyun praised as he approached Fan Shuixuan. Ah, nice to see you again. But wow, how could you already receive the fifth flame imprint so quickly? Fan Shuixuan said with a shocked expression as she saw the flame imprint on Yi Tianyun's hand. Look at that, you even have the sign of the fourth layer city lord on your arm, she said with the same expression. She didn't think that Yi Tianyun had gone for that long, but he has made a rapid progress for such a short amount of time. The goal here wasn't just to climb the tower but also to fight many opponents to obtain the flame imprint, which granted access to the floor above. Considering how fast and how far Yi Tianyun has gotten was too great to be true. Well, I think I am still a little slow. Hadn't the 5th layer city's city lord refused my challenge, I would have gotten the 6th flame imprint by now. Yi Tianyun said with a smile on his face. You are a show-off. Fan Shuixuan said with a pout on her face. Princess, why did you come here? At the same time, an old man came hurriedly to Fan Shuixuan's side. Great Elder, why did you follow me here? Fan Shuixuan said as she was surprised to see the old man that turned out to be her Great Elder. Yi Tianyun frowned as Fan Shuixuan turned out to be not just any ordinary cultivator. Chapter 806 Inches Shouldn't I come? The Great Elder said as he tried to act calm in front of Fan Shuixuan. The Great Elder then told Fan Shuixuan to follow him as that wasn't the best place to talk. Big brother Yi, come with me. Fan Shuixuan said as she held Yi Tianyun's hand. This is your internal affair. I think it's best for you if I just wait here. Yi Tianyun said with a smile on his face. Fan Shuixuan tried to give Yi Tianyun her most convincing puppy eyes, but clearly, the Great Elder agreed with Yi Tianyun's word. Missy, he is right, the Great Elder said with a sigh, but he immediately noticed the 5th flame imprint on Yi Tianyun's arm and the 4th City Lord imprint on his 4th flame imprint. The Great Elder was clearly surprised by this. His name is Yi Tianyun. He is the one that saved me before. He even got the 5th flame imprint rather quickly, even though he came here at the same time as me. Great Elder, Big Brother Yi promised me that he would eradicate the evil spirit race from this place. Fan Shuixuan said with a pout. Is this true, young man? Fan Qingyan, the Great Elder, asked Yi Tianyun. It is true, Great Elder. Why won't you trust me? Fan Shuixuan said with a frown on his face. Yi Tianyun sighed before nodding. He felt nothing bad would come out from the Great Elder knowing about him anyway. He then followed Fan Shuixuan as it seemed she would have it her way. The Great Elder then took them to a cultivation room and created a barrier that prevented anyone from entering the room and contained their voice inside the barrier. Why did you promise to help us? What do you want from us? Fan Qingyan asked rudely. If you want some kind of reward from us, I think we can work it out as long as it is a martial arts or treasure. Fan Qingyan said solemnly. He didn't know Yi Tianyun's intention, and as far as he was concerned, no one would work for free. I am not really helping you. My goal is to get rid of evil spirit race from the 3 realms. It just happened that my and Fan Shuixuan's goal were aligned. Yi Tianyun said solemnly. In the first place, I'm here to find ancient netherworld divine king's descendant and seek their cooperation to eliminate all evil spirit race in the ghost world. Yi Tianyun said casually. What? Are you serious? Fan Qingyan said as he was surprised by Yi Tianyun's word. Yi Tianyun then explained some general knowledge that he already knew about the 3 realms and the evil spirit race, including the existence of the demon on the mortal world. This is our ancient record. The evil spirit race's root was indeed starting from the mortal world. Just who in the world are you? How did you get your hands on this information? Fan Qingyan asked solemnly. Fan Qingyan didn't deny the fact that he was the descendant of ancient netherworld divine king. He knew that it was best to let the people that would help him in the future know about this information. I am the descendant of heaven creating divine king and sealing heaven divine king. Yi Tianyun said calmly. You never cease to surprise me, don't you? Fan Qingyan said as he was shocked to hear Yi Tianyun's identity. He wasn't a descendant of one divine king, but 2 of them. You are also the descendant of the divine kings, no wonder you want to exterminate all evil spirit race, but you aren't willing to disclose this information before. What's with the sudden change of heart? Fan Shuixuan said as he felt disappointed after knowing this now. There is no point in me sharing this information earlier as I didn't know what your position in ancient netherworld divine nation was, so it wasn't necessary at that point. Yi Tianyun said honestly. How rude. Fan Shuixuan said as she was angered by Yi Tianyun, who seemed to look down on She didn't even want to look at Yi Tianyun anymore. What evidence do you have to back this fact up? Fan Qingyan said as he gazed at Yi Tianyun. Although Fan Shuixuan said that he was trustworthy, Fan Qingyan couldn't just trust him unconditionally. I can release the aura of Sealing Heaven Divine King, but can you sense it? I can also release the aura of Heaven Creating Divine King as long as you can sense it too. Yi Tianyun said casually. No problem, we always had a good relationship with the two Divine Kings, so we have the understanding about the two Divine Kings' aura so that we can recognize it once we meet with their descendant. Fan Qingyan said confidently. Yi Tianyun nodded as he knew that ancient Netherworld Divine Tower had been blessed by Heaven Creating Divine King and Sealing Heaven Divine King. Therefore their power could be sensed around the tower. The divine rune on the ancient Netherworld Divine Tower was created by Heaven Creating Divine King while the tower itself was made by Sealing Heaven Divine King. As for ancient Netherworld Divine King, he was a cultivator that specialized in refining pills. Although it might be shocking to hear that the Divine King was an expert pill refiner, it was the truth. He had the strongest fire among the Divine Kings, and the pills that he made were exceptionally potent. Alright, Yi Tianyun said as he released Heaven Creating Divine King's aura. Fan Qingyan immediately nodded as he felt the familiar power. Now I believe you, young master. I am sorry for ever throwing my suspicion in your direction. Fan Qingyan said reverently. Fan Qingyan wasn't just some weak cultivator, he was at the third layer Saint King stage, but even if he was older than Yi Tianyun, he still showed his respect as it should be. Descendant of Heaven Creating Divine King was rare, plus Yi Tianyun also had Sealing Heaven Divine King's blood in him. That's alright. Now I want to know your plan to deal with the evil spirit race. Yi Tianyun asked curiously. We have a plan, but sadly we couldn't act on it immediately. We couldn't sneak in our people inside the tower as they would be found out immediately. We are in a big shock as we heard that the princess was entering the tower earlier as we were afraid that she would be taken in by the evil spirit race immediately. Fan Qingyan said honestly. I am sorry for being too late to introduce her properly. She is the princess of ancient Netherworld Divine Nation, Princess Fan. Because of our lord, Princess Fan's father has committed suicide by coming here. Because of that, no one else in our family retained any control over the tower. She is our only hope to regain control over the tower once she masters the tower someday. Fan Qingyan said solemnly. I didn't expect she was such a prominent figure. Yi Tianyun said as he looked over to Fan Shuixuan. Yes, in fact, before our lord comes here, we are expecting some sort of signal to charge inside the tower to take it over, but the signal never come. Fan Qingyan said solemnly. Yi Tianyun nodded as he understood the current situation. But he never expected that the Holy King of ancient Netherworld Divine Nation's status would be unknown. He wasn't sure whether the Lord was killed here on the tower and already consumed by the evil spirit race, or he was still lying in wait for the right moment to strike. Chapter 807 Yi Tianyun finally grasped the current situation now. Fan Shuixuan's father, the ancient Netherworld Divine Nation's Holy King, Fan Tianyun, already snuck into the tower a few years ago and has been missing ever since. They were waiting for the signal from Fan Tianyun that never came. It was a pretty simple signal, which was making one of the floors radiate light to the outside world by taking over that floor first. But clearly, the signal had never come. The ancient Netherworld Divine Tower was like a huge country with 9 cities. Obviously, each city was armed with a weapon to attack the outside world, and this was what Fan Tianyun was aiming at as only city lord could control the weapon. This plan clearly had some risks to it as the evil spirit race would be immediately notified if there was a situation on the said floor, but that probably wouldn't happen if the ancient Netherworld Divine Nation had already infiltrated the tower at that time. Now that Fan Tianyun's whereabouts were unknown, Fan Shuixuan wanted to carry out the plan herself. Fortunately, they could conceal their bloodline power from others. It was only thanks to the appraisal eye that Yi Tianyun was able to discern that she was the descendant of ancient Netherworld Divine King. But even so, not everyone from ancient Netherworld Divine Nation could do this, so they wouldn't be able to stick around the tower without thorough preparation. I'm intrigued about this situation. I will help you find your father. I will check his whereabouts as soon as possible. Yi Tianyun said curiously. Yi Tianyun knew that the city lord had the power to find any cultivator he wanted inside their city, and that should be enough as it would give information for Yi Tianyun where to start searching. Thank you for your kindness, Big Brother Yi. Please find my father. Fan Shuixuan said helplessly. But first, since you're here already, what are you planning to do? Yi Tianyun asked curiously to Fan Qingyan. Our plan isn't that complicated either. We will pick up the pace and take over the city lord position as soon as possible. We have to take the city lord position in a higher floor too, as we will be able to take the tower back if we can gain the city lord power of the higher floor. Fan Qingyan said solemnly. Yi Tianyun nodded as he understood what they were planning to do. Well, if that is your plan, then it was already in full swing. Yi Tianyun said casually. Yi Tianyun had already conquered the third and fourth floor, and in merely only 1 week, he would take over the fifth floor as well. But Yi Tianyun knew that he had to help take control of the tower completely, so Yi Tianyun immediately went back to the first floor and opened the Divine General Summoning Command. He didn't hesitate to use this command as he deemed it absolutely necessary to increase manpower in this situation. He immediately called for the 12 golden hairpins as he knew that they were the best option here right now. Although he had stronger generals, the 12 golden hairpin harbored a deep grudge against the evil spirit race. A flash of light enveloped the room, and the 12 golden hairpin appeared in front of Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun smirked as he realized that not even the highest grade of divine relic could stop the divine general summoning. It was a testament to how absurd Yi Tianyun's ability really was. The 12 golden hairpin themselves were confused by this situation as they didn't understand how they found themselves at a completely different place all of a sudden. They were doing their duty like normal, but suddenly a flash of light enveloped them and took them away. Furthermore, they felt something warm on their hands almost immediately, which was the materialization of flame imprint on their arms. Yi Tianyun smirked as he had already calculated it all. He knew that the tower would also give the flame imprint to the 12 golden hairpin, but if he summoned them on the higher floor, the tower would only teleport them back to the first floor anyway as they wouldn't have the qualification to stay on the higher floor. It was better to summon them on the first floor as they wouldn't be as confused. Young master, they shouted at the same time as they noticed Yi Tianyun in front of them. They immediately bowed as a sign of respect. Get up, don't be surprised. I summoned all of you here this way because I have work for you to do. Now, first thing first, you can't die in this place. You have to protect your life with the utmost care. Second, this tower was infested by the evil spirit race, and I want you to get rid of them from each floor. Now the last thing is that this place is the perfect environment to cultivate. I hope that you could become stronger as you exterminate the evil spirit race in this place. Yi Tianyun said solemnly. Yi Tianyun immediately explained where they were and the rules of this place. The 12 golden hairpins were clearly surprised to hear Yi Tianyun's explanation, but they regained their composure almost immediately. Is there anything you want to ask? Yi Tianyun asked. No, we understand it all, young master, the 12 golden hairpins said in unison. They nodded their head and immediately scattered, challenging any cultivator to gain the flame imprint to make their way up the floor. Soon enough, the bottom floor was ruled by these 12 pretty girls. They might look harmless, but once the cultivator accepted their challenge, they knew that their appearance was deceiving. Yi Tianyun order is simple. The 12 golden hairpins were to exterminate any evil spirit race that they spotted. If any human got in their way, they could also get rid of them to make things easier. Everything would become far easier. Yi Tianyun said as he looked at the 12 golden hairpins before returning to the fifth layer city. He now had to wait for Su Chengmin to accept his challenge in 1 week. Other than that, he got nothing else to do. Chapter 808 Yi Tianyun returned to fifth layer city, but someone immediately greeted him as soon as he got there. Fourth layer lord. The cultivator greeted respectfully. Yi Tianyun just nodded and walked towards the inner city as he was too annoyed to pay attention to these people. Fourth layer Lord. We, Rainflower Nation, are here to show you our utmost respect. Would you like to invite us as your guest this time around? A cultivator said as she showed his respect to Tianyun. She was wearing a black robe, and her face was actually beautiful for a cultivator's standard. But still, Tianyun wouldn't trust anyone easily. He looked at the cultivator with cold, suspecting eyes. The cultivator took a step back as she was afraid that Tianyun would attack her. What did you want to tell me? I don't have the time to deal with stuff I'm not interested in. Tianyun said coldly. I am sorry if we are offending you, my lord. Our Rainflower Nation wants to invite Fourth Layer Lord to cooperate. We would be happy if my lord can hear us out first, the woman said while paying respect to Tianyun. I am not interested, Tianyun said coldly before kept walking. He neither wanted nor needed to cooperate with anyone right now. If he really needed it, he would be the one recruiting the people he needed to join his cause before carrying out his conquer. For Tianyun, it was better to just do everything alone. In fact, Tianyun reached the fifth layer city all alone. It would only increase his burden if he cooperated with anyone else at this point. For now, cooperating with ancient netherworld divine nation that had the same goal as him was the best, as they didn't burden him with any unnecessary stuff. Fourth City Lord. Don't worry. We know that you want to challenge the Fifth City Lord, but without preparation, you won't win that easily. Rufeng asked in panic as she saw that Tianyun had no intention to hear them out. So, what can you provide for me? Tianyun said indifferently. We will provide you many medicinal pill from the top site of Fifth Layer City. Rufeng said hurriedly. Do you think I'm short on that? Tianyun said with a sigh. Fourth City Lord, we are sincerely want to cooperate with you. I know that your cultivation is strong, but we excel in medicinal pills. We have many strong 6th grade medicinal pills, and we even have some special cultivation area that you can't get in even with your status as the 4th layer city lord. Rufeng said confidently. This special cultivation area is special because there was the martial arts left by the Divine King inside, and those who are qualified should be able to get their hands on it. Rufeng explained confidently. In order to win Tianyun over, Rufeng exhausted all possible means to make sure that Tianyun would cooperate with them. Honestly, Rufeng didn't lie. There was indeed a special cultivation area that required many requirements before someone could enter. This area was a much more efficient place to cultivate compared to other areas on the same floor. This was the privilege given to those of genius bloodline to cultivate here on ancient netherworld divine tower. Rufeng clearly waited for Tianyun to accept her offer. She also believed that Tianyun wouldn't reject such an offer as it would help them in the long run. Not interested, Tianyun said indifferently and went on his way. He didn't need any Divine King's martial arts as he already had the martial arts of Sealing Heaven Divine King and Heaven Creating Divine King. Rufeng was clearly shocked when Tianyun's rejected her offer. She couldn't believe that Tianyun would reject such offers without hesitation. Please wait, 4th layer city lord. Please tell me what you need. We will try our best to grant your desire. Rufeng said desperately. Tianyun sighed and turned his attention towards Rufeng once again. I want to be the Tower Lord. Can you make me the Tower Lord? Tianyun said tauntingly. Rufeng immediately fell silent after hearing what Tianyun wanted. Clearly, they couldn't grant what Tianyun wanted. If they could do it, then they wouldn't need Tianyun's cooperation in the first place. That is too difficult, my lord. Would you kindly reconsider? Rufeng asked worriedly. You know, I didn't expect you to betray your own race just for your own sake. Tianyun said coldly towards Rufeng. What? 4th layer lord, all we want is to cooperate with you and help us on growing our faction. Rufeng said confusedly. She didn't understand what Tianyun meant by what he said earlier. Tianyun looked at Rufeng coldly, and Rufeng couldn't help take a step back out of fear. Tell me what information you had, and I will hear you out for now. Tianyun said with a sigh. He then told Rufeng to follow him to a somewhat more private area. Once Yi Tianyun knew that they were safe from any prying ears, Rufeng began to tell Yi Tianyun about the current situation and the information about the sixth-layer city lord, Kang Yuan, as much as they knew. Rufeng even gave Yi Tianyun several medicinal pills and brought Yi Tianyun to the special cultivation area. But Yi Tianyun immediately frowned as he saw the special cultivation area and the medicinal pills that Rufeng gave. The special area was quite dangerous, and the medicinal pills were highly addictive. This special area and medicinal pills were trouble instead of blessing. From that alone, Yi Tianyun knew that something was fishy. What is this petty trick? Who told you to give me this? Yi Tianyun coldly said, as he didn't think anyone would give him something like this if they wanted to get on his good side. It was clearly the evil spirit race's scheme to get rid of those that annoyed them. Fortunately, Yi Tianyun wasn't stupid. He wouldn't fall for something like this. Chapter 809 Inches. This is a nuisance. Yi Tianyun shook his head as he walked towards Rufeng. The girl herself didn't know what was going on, and so, she took Yi Tianyun to a restaurant and ordered a top-quality wine with a great meal of the day. The restaurant was close to the special cultivation area, and it was built on the convenience of the cultivator in the area, as they would need wine and food. Even if they didn't need to eat, the desire for wine and good food didn't go away that easily. So, for Yi Tianyun, this was not so bad in the meantime. As they were eating and enjoying the food, Rufeng left the table, saying that she wanted to go to the bathroom, but she went out to the alley instead, as a man was already waiting there. What are you doing here? This is not part of our plan. We can't fail now. Remember that we have to finish the contract before the time limit. The man said to Rufeng coldly. I don't know what to do anymore. He isn't interested in the special cultivation area and the medicinal pills. All he wants is to eat and drink in this place. Rufeng said frustratedly. Damn it. If we can't force him, just keep him busy. We have to find other ways to convince him. The man said frustratedly. I understand. Rufeng said as she nodded and returned to Yi Tianyun. The man looked at Rufeng as she returned inside the restaurant before leaving too. Rufeng took a seat and back to eating as if nothing happened. They're trying to tempt me with all sort of things to avoid the duel with Su Changman, huh? As I expected, evil spirit race was too cowardly to do things right. Yi Tianyun said as he shook his head. Clearly, the news about the destruction of heavenly netherworld divine nation barely reached this place, which explained why the evil spirit race barely knew anything about Yi Tianyun. But apparently, Su Changman has already got the information about Yi Tianyun and the destruction of heavenly netherworld divine nation. Otherwise, he wouldn't try to avoid the duel with Yi Tianyun like this. Another day came, and Yi Tianyun was still wandering around Fifth Layer City with Rufeng on his side. He had to admit that the scenery around Fifth Layer City was beautiful. Ancient Netherworld Divine King really created a magical palace here on Ancient Netherworld Divine Tower. There was a lot of medicinal herb and demon beast here to help the people in the city grow. This abundance of life was not created by the tower, but instead, they were teleported inside, as life couldn't be created no matter how powerful one was. As time passed, suddenly Rufeng was stopped by a man. She nodded her head and excused herself to Yi Tianyun by saying that she would catch up soon. They were clearly frustrated as they saw Yi Tianyun walking around the Fifth Layer City instead of cultivating inside the special cultivation area they had prepared in advance. They clearly became more desperate as the day of the duel between Yi Tianyun and Su Changman was getting closer. Rufeng, what is happening? You go to the restaurant on the first day and mountain hiking on the second day. Are you taking this seriously? The time of the duel is getting close. The man said frustratedly. In the city palace, Lord Su Changman kept pressuring Rainflower Divine Nation to get their contract done, as he was desperate here. That brat wasn't interested in anything I suggested. It doesn't feel like he has the desire to do anything at all, the rainflower cultivator on the side said to Su Changman as they kept observing Yi Tianyun from afar. If you can't make that brat enter the special cultivation area before the last day, you all will die. Su Changman shouted desperately. I understand, my lord, the rainflower cultivator said while trembling in Fear. Now, get out of my way. I am done with you. Su Changmin shouted furiously. The rainflower cultivator immediately rushed out of the palace as he was scared of Su Changmin's rage. If they can't do anything to stop that brat, I will have to participate in the duel. Su Changmin said as he wiped the cold sweat on his face. He was scared as the brat he just said has destroyed the heavenly netherworld divine nation before. Thus, he knew that he wouldn't have the strength to fight him on his own. There was no way someone who already won against an elder rank would lose to someone of Su Changmin's caliber. Of course, Su Changmin had the option to escape from the tower to avoid the brat, but the old ancestor would definitely search and execute him from dereliction of duty. The rainflower cultivator that rushed out of the city palace earlier immediately made his way towards Rufeng. He gave his ultimatum to Rufeng to take Yi Tianyun to the special cultivation area as soon as possible. He also told Rufeng that Rainflower Divine Nation would be destroyed if she failed to do so. Rufeng promised that she would complete the mission as soon as possible with worry in her eyes. The next day, Yi Tianyun didn't go hiking or sightseeing, but instead, he walked around the city market to check out the unique merchandise sold in the city. Once again, the rainflower cultivator that saw what Yi Tianyun did was frustrated as Yi Tianyun didn't seem to have the slightest intention to enter the special cultivation area. Fourth layer City Lord, didn't you say that you would visit the special cultivation area today? If you don't go in now, your time on the fifth layer city would be cut short. A man appeared out of nowhere and persuaded Yi Tianyun to enter the special cultivation area. Oh well, I am thinking of visiting after I am done with the city lord. Yi Tianyun said casually, but he noticed how anxious the man was. The man was shaken when he heard Yi Tianyun's answer as he immediately realized that he had failed his mission. My lord, I am afraid that it can't be done. If you miss the timing, the special cultivation area would be closed indefinitely. The man lied out of desperation. If that's the case, then I guess I'll have to go when it's open next time. Maybe after I have become the new fifth layer city lord, wouldn't you agree? Yi Tianyun said casually. He already knew that the man was a traitor of the human race, so he wanted to toy with them around his palm for as long as he could. Chapter 810 Yi Tianyun had given them the benefit of the doubt by saying he would enter the special cultivation area when he became the fifth layer city lord. Surely, the value would be greater then. But these people still insistently suggested Yi Tianyun enter the special cultivation area before he became the city lord of the fifth layer city. Clearly, these people's intention was to assassinate Yi Tianyun before he could challenge the city lord. No matter what these people were trying to do, it would be futile against Yi Tianyun. In fact, Rufeng already knew that Yi Tianyun was aware of their intention, which was why she wanted to stop the man from being overly persistent as it would only make things worse, but she couldn't do it. They were all frozen from fear as Yi Tianyun looked at them menacingly. If you have nothing else to say, return to wherever you came from. I will enter the special cultivation area when I want. Yi Tianyun waved his hands effortlessly. I promise you that it won't take your precious time. Just go in for a little while. The man kneeled down before Yi Tianyun. If they couldn't convince Yi Tianyun to enter the special cultivation area, their rainflower divine nation would be destroyed. At the same time, Su Changmin came out of nowhere and glared at them. I trusted you to deal with him, but you can't even convince him to do what you want. You are a bunch of trash. Get out of my sight. Su Changmin said furiously. They were startled but immediately thanked Su Changmin before walking away, but before they could leave, a red barrier stopped them in their place. Did I say that you could go? Yi Tianyun said menacingly. Fourth layer city lord, what do you mean by this? The men said as they noticed that they were being judged by Yi Tianyun. A group of evil spirit races dog, you thought I didn't know what you are planning. You have to pay for your insolence. Yi Tianyun said coldly. The two people that Yi Tianyun stopped took his punch head on. Their bodies shook, and their organs were smashed. Although there were no external injuries from Yi Tianyun's punch, their internal organs were smashed. Their flame imprint was immediately absorbed into Yi Tianyun's flame imprint as a sign that they were already dead. How dare you say that evil spirit race was trash? Don't think for a second that I am afraid of fighting you, you stupid human trash. Su Changman said furiously. Well then, if you really mean it, then let's have a fight right here, right now. Let us prove who is the real trash. Yi Tianyun said tauntingly. Su Changman immediately fell silent as cold sweat was dripping from his forehead. Why would he accept Yi Tianyun's challenge when he knew that he didn't have any chance to win? This brat sure has a big temper. A tall, handsome cultivator made his appearance suddenly. He was none other than Kang Yuan, the one behind this scheme to hinder the duel between Yi Tianyun and Su Changman. He wanted to trap Yi Tianyun with some addictive, but his plan clearly didn't work out so well. 6th Layer City Lord. Yi Tianyun looked at Kang Yuan and saw the flame imprint on his arm. Why are you here? Do you want to fight me too? Or do you want to judge this unsightly man here? Yi Tianyun asked indifferently. Why would I do that? We had a misunderstanding from the beginning. Why don't we strike a deal instead? Kang Yuan said casually. Sure, let me hear what you have to say first. Yi Tianyun said nonchalantly. Alright, let's talk somewhere else more private. Kang Yuan said casually. How important is this talk? Can't we just talk it out here? Yi Tianyun said indifferently. No, we can't risk someone else hearing what we are talking about here. Are you afraid that we will team up and take you down? Kang Yuan said with a smirk on his face. Wow, where is that coming from? If you are so insistent that this is that important of a matter, then come on, let's find somewhere private. Yi Tianyun said indifferently. Alright, come on. Kang Yuan said politely. Yi Tianyun nodded and followed Kang Yuan. Meanwhile, Su Changman and Kang Yuan were grinning at each other as they thought that Yi Tianyun was so easy to fool. This brat is too arrogant. Maybe because he has strong cultivation at such a young age, but even so, our strategy will work for sure this time. Kang Yuan said with a mind link to Su Changman. Yi Tianyun couldn't hear what they were talking about, so he followed Kang Yuan and Su Changman to the city palace. As soon as he entered the palace, the area was immediately covered with 5 strong barriers, meaning that he challenged 5 people at the same time. The duel didn't have a strict rule, so a person could challenge as many people at the same time without any limitation. Suddenly, 5 evil spirit race cultivators leapt towards Yi Tianyun, with their original appearance bared open. Meaning that they already released their forearms in the back. Attacking in a group. Yi Tianyun sighed as he looked at everyone in the room. In addition to Kang Yuan and Su Changman, there were 3 other cultivators that were equally as powerful as Kang Yuan and Su Changman. At least they were at 6th or 7th layer Saint King stage. Brat, I didn't expect you to be this stupid. You are just like Big Brother Kang described, so proud and arrogant. You think that you are the most powerful person in this world, don't you? I have never seen someone would willingly follow their enemies like this. Su Changman said while laughing comically. This time, you will die with no one here to save you. Su Changman said excitedly. The 5 evil spirit race people immediately released the power of their flame imprint. The 3 new evil spirit race wasn't a city lord, but they were a deacon of evil spirit race, so they would play the support role here to make sure Su Changman and Kang Yuan win this battle. Ancient Netherworld Divine Tower allowed the existence of Deacon rank and Elder rank cultivator to rule over the tower. You are correct. I am the strongest one here. Is there a problem with that? Yi Tianyun said coldly. He already expected the evil spirit race would swarm him as soon as they realized that they couldn't fight him head on, but then again, it was a good source of experience point for Yi Tianyun.